looks good. Just jumping on stream this morning to finish off this icy temple battle map, which we worked on for a solid 4.5 hours yesterday. And we have all of the important stuff down. Just make sure I can see chat. Okay, cool, looking good. So, basically we have all of our colors and lights and shadows down. We've kind of been playing around with the light in the ice formations, and I'm very happy with where they are now. But what we need now is to basically just get in there and rough it up with a nice fun brush. So I'm gonna see if we have any nice fun brushes. Zoom in a bit, and again I've forgotten to organize my layers off stream, so they're still unnamed layers, still nebulous layers that require toggling to find them. So excuse my disorganization. But basically my method now is to go into the thick of these layers, color pick the shade that I want, and then see if we can rough it up. Yeah, I can see that's kind of working. We just want to add some interesting little dynamic shapes and patterns in here. Very faint right now. Maybe you can't see what I'm working on. Just have to trust me that they're there. This layer I'm working on is just very faint, so most of the details will come in a little bit. So I'm pressing all sorts of wrong buttons. I think I want my extra scratchy brush. This one's my wider kind of brush. I'm gonna find extra scratchy. Where would he be hiding? Bunch of brushes I never use. Should probably clean up one of these days. Come on, brush, you're embarrassing me. Where are you? Hey, 2 viewers, you came just in time to see me get lost in my brushes. This is odd. Have I just deleted it by accident? I thought it would be harder to delete a brush than this. Fantastic start to the stream. I think we're gonna... Oh, here it is. Yeah, I found it. It just wasn't named anything like what I imagined it was named. It was right there in front of us the whole time. But yeah, we're just scratching vague shapes that you probably can't see into our ice to give it some just a break out of the smooth gradient kind of trap. So it's a bit cloudy beneath the surface, that sort of look. The other thing I wanted to do was look up some cracked lake ice as a reference. And see if we can't replicate this in some kind of fun way. So here's our ice layer. not going to be yellow. We know that. We're just going to start with a stark white. Put it beneath the main shadow, but above that secondary shadow. Switch back to Twitch chat so I can see if anyone's watching. Hey, 3 viewers, welcome to the stream. If you're new here, basically this is my channel where I paint battle maps. That's just my job, and I let you all tune in to basically help me out with your input, give me nice ideas and fun stuff, and just to chat. Coloring with an off-white. That's no good. Okay, so let's have a look at this cracked lake ice. I want, perhaps you can envision it like that deep, deep lake that's frozen solid with this look, but with like a spider web of cracks just shearing through the middle of it. Okay, I found a few good pictures. Let me just arrange these windows so that I can see Twitch chat at the same time. Okay, we're good. So yes. This crack is going to follow the edge here. Just do a thick one at first and come back. I may find, after painting all of these cracks in, that I just don't like it. And then I delete this layer. So you might be seeing like a little secret history unfold. And this bright white color is not final. We're just coloring with a very stark white so that we can see clearly what we're working on, and then later on we'll pick out a color that we like a final color. And it's going to be rather, well, I guess it may not be rather low contrast, it might be rather high contrast, so I'll try and be rather tidy with these lines. Rather tidy, being relative. Really we're being rather rough. That's okay, because these color blocks that aren't confined by lines, this is our opportunity to add some chaos and natural shapes and not worry about being too tidy. And then I'm imagining like some cracks going through the middle here too. I'm using a rather large brush on purpose because when you draw the line and then erase the line in order to get a thinner line, it gives you a much more interesting, more natural line. If I were to use just a small brush to draw these lines, then you can see they'd all be kind of a uniform width and very, very boring compared to these more interesting lines. Like a smaller brush might be good for these secondary cracks, but but for this, I think maybe a 50 brush would do it. Maybe go back to the 75. So it's looking pretty good in our little thumbnail preview. Should mention the purpose of this stream. We want to wrap up this map, put down the finishing touches which basically is going to be a mixture of cracks and call this mottle, but there's probably a better word for it. It's not mottled, it's just like texture. We're just putting texture and cracks on our ice, and then I need to paint in a couple of shadows, which we obliterated last time. I can remember where I put them. Where are my general shadows? They're outside ice layer. They must be here. Yeah. Inside the boats in shadow, for example. And we had another problematic boat over here. So when you color carefully with this brush and don't let it get out of control, you get some very interesting shapes compared to what we've been doing yesterday, which was blocking in with a very kind of vanilla, safe brush. But this chaotic, scratchy brush is a lot of fun. So I go back and forth on that all the time. Yesterday I was saying the opposite thing, that I'm sick of this brush and I want to stick with the safe brush. But, you know, there's a time and place for every brush. So there'll be just a huge spider webbing of cracks here. And I want to keep the composition, the overall composition in mind as I add these cracks. I don't want like a uniform level of detail all through the ice sheet. I want like areas of open space and areas of densely knit cracks. That's just very important in creating a balanced piece. Quite like that. And the question is, are these cracks going to continue up into our magically formed ice platform? Our Elsa fortress, as we were calling it yesterday. But speaking again on the topic of the stream today, my plans today are to finish off this map, which I want to get done in an hour. It'll probably take 2. And then I'm going to take a break for lunch. And then I'm going to dive right into the next map. We're going to draw a fire temple. This is all today, mind you. So we're going to design the fire temple after lunch. And then I'm going to print that out. Set up the hand cam where you can see me drawing in real life with pen and paper. Dive straight into the line art and hopefully smash that out with time enough to go about publishing this map, the Ice Temple, to the interwebs, to my Patreon. So that won't happen on stream, obviously. That's very boring stuff, watching me type. But all of that drawing and painting, that'll happen on stream. So if you're not going into the nighttime of the United States and you have time to watch today, then please do tune in. That's another thing I forgot. Right here is a snowbank. So we're gonna paint that back in. Yeah, we'll see how much of that we actually get done. But between today and tomorrow, we're gonna get this done, and we're gonna get the fire temple done. It's gonna get done, even if I have to stay up or something ludicrous like that. So I think I'm gonna like this effect we have. I mean, yeah, we've been very... This kind of reminds me of like Naruto when they transition into a fight scene and they change to a simpler art style with a higher frame rate, but it's very clean, very color blocks, lines and colors, not just like one shading block. That's kind of what we have here. And then we're going to ruffle that up with all of our textures with this scratchy brush, and I think that those two elements are going to play well together, but we'll see. Touch wood and all. So I should duplicate this in case I change my mind later, and I just want to come back to this simple one, because in a way this simply colored map has its own charm, especially as an ice fortress. It's very clean, very clean. I think it's too clean, so that's why we're trying this, trying to add all these other interesting elements. So now this will be fun. We get to smash our ice sheet into tiny little pieces, kind of like subsurface cracks, except for up here where it's breaking into pieces. And I suppose would this also like come down here? Probably, right? I don't want to get immensely technical down here. I'm also going to kind of curate this music as we go. Supposedly if I use the thumbs up and thumbs down button enough, then it'll put together a playlist that I like. I'm trying to look for music that kind of matches the chill nature of this drawing stream. Hey Auburn Hodge, looking baller. I'm glad you think so. We'll see what it looks like after we're finished scratching it and cracking it and roughing it up so much. So I just need to step back every now and then. So really it's going to be more like that. So I kind of think we shouldn't bother with these cracks down inside the crevasse, and just keep them where the light's kind of striking them dead on. That makes sense in my head. I think that would look more natural. But anyway, first things first, we need more cracks. And I want to keep it more like this, and not necessarily completing the lines and drawing full shapes, but just hinting at shapes in here. These just need to calm down a bit. Yeah, but like if we can replicate this, what we have going on here, which I did by accident, across this ice sheet, then I think we'll do well. Because I was thinking about it a lot as I lay down to sleep last night, how we can make this ice more icy And the two elements I want to add is A, the cracks, and B, this mottle, but we're going to get more dramatic with the mottle, with the texture. Just like big brush strokes in here where the gradient is now. We're going to kind of convert that into a gradient of brush strokes instead. I think that'll do. Let me just block in some chunks so that we can figure out where our areas of detail and areas of space will be. And then I wonder if we should even take it into this shadowy area at all. And then just like a splinter cracks going out like this maybe. Like big long cracks with kind of that makes sense. I think it does. It's like here's an area of detail, here's a place of low details, so we're trying to balance our levels of detail. I think this here will be like a crack. Basically what we should start with is some major cracks and then branch like a spiderweb of cracks off there. Then at places they'll come together again. You like the lighting so far? I'm glad you do. Oh hey Okamigatas, welcome back. I'm trying to keep up with Twitch chat, but I have a rather small window because most of my second monitor is reference images right now. Okay. So. That looks good in the thumbnail. I quite like shapes we have here. I need like something up here, maybe. Maybe these would join up. Excuse me, there's a big truck outside. Yeah, it is a very early stream today. There's lots to do, so I'm getting to it as soon as I can. Plus, I have a rather busy afternoon ahead, so all things will be work out better the earlier I get to it. So that's why we're here now. No, and I quite like working earlier than I usually start. I mean, it's what is the time? It's 12 here, so it's not exactly early. Just earlier. So I think the secret to this shape, which I like so much, this shape we made by accident, and I've been trying to replicate it. I think the secret that I'm missing is that I was using like sweeping curved strokes, whereas in drawing ice I naturally wanted to draw very straight lines, which looking at my reference images, the straight lines work. Or they're more correct, I suppose. But just from a design point of view, I prefer these kind of sweeps. Going with that, it's magical ice. That's my excuse for everything on this map. If I want to make it bluer than usual, or if I want to make it interesting shapes, it's magical ice. Wizard made this like frozen in my mind, so no harm done. Refraining from zooming in too much too, just so we can work with like a bigger picture right now. Then later on, if anything looks like it needs more attention, we'll zoom in and give it to it. How do we feel about this? I quite like it. It's definitely a step up, right, from that. It looks like ice now, whereas this almost looks like just water, but with a crack running through it. But this layer gives it that icy surface. It like, I guess that's the main thing it does, is it finds like a solid surface. And I think once we've done our due diligence with this group of cracks, maybe we should try out a secondary layer of cracks underneath it. Because my reference images has that kind of effect happening in the ice where the surface will be cracked, but there'll also be like a subsurface cracks too. And it looks really dramatic and cool, so let's give it a shot. Maybe it'll be too much detail, but I think it'll work. I think it'll do well. So let's just duplicate you. Oops. So this will be like our subsurface cracks. So I'm just going to drop this down to 50%. And we'll do what we did before again. But we can afford to be even more kind of haphazard with these cracks. I'm trying the more flowing kind of cracks with this one. These colors don't really work. Just the flat white isn't doing a good job. But everything will look better when we pick out some intelligent colors. So this style kind of works. I'm kind of, as I'm going, I'm working out a method for drawing these ice cracks. It's kind of my method to everything. So if I disable that for now, I quite like it when I draw kind of rounded shapes like this, kind of rounded cobbly shapes, I guess, or cracks. And then in the step where I cut back on those shapes, that's when I straighten them up into more geometric, more rectangular shapes. And that's kind of when we get the icy straight line cracks that we get, but still an element of artistic swirl, artistic curves and stuff going on. So this method kind of works. This shape that I've drawn here doesn't look very... It's starting to creep into it like a 3D shape, which we don't want because this surface is flat. We want it to look very flat. So we've got to be careful not to accidentally draw like a cube in our ice surface. Like theoretically, a crack could exist like that. But if we draw that, then it's gonna be very odd to the eye. So yeah, I quite like this. So let's keep going with it. Let's enable this again though, because we want to be mindful of how this fits into the composition. Plus these secondary cracks, they don't have to all join up to each other, they can just branch off kind of our primary cracks. I mean, that's their purpose, is just to complement the primary cracks that we've drawn in. Not to compete we don't want to go too wild, so just need a scattering more here and over here. Maybe this is a good place. Maybe this spot here, since that wasn't really going anywhere. It looks really messy right now. Trust me, we're going to play around with the with everything basically. I quite like having it. It kind of looks like this boat has fallen from space, and everything's kind of been compacted by its impact, which is kind of a cool effect. I'm not sure if it makes any sense at all, but I just like the composition of it more than anything, so I'm going to keep it. And if a DM wants to use that as like a plot hook, then please go ahead. Celestial boat. Perhaps this is the rowing boat that the gods use to traverse the skies. And it's like the start of Diablo 3. Something happened and some such god or angel was cast down, and this is where his rowing boat happened to land. Okay. We're in our step of kind of cutting back the lines to give them, to cut down their uniformity. I swear this is the chill channel of Pretzel Rocks. I swear. Still on a mission to find some music that I like for the stream. I want a certain atmosphere. I have nothing against like dance music. It's just not the atmosphere I'm going for. If we were smarter, we'd have much thicker cracks down on the lower part of the canvas and much thinner cracks at the top, just to enhance the illusion of depth. But I guess this perspective is just a shifted perspective. It's kind of isometric without being rotated. So it also makes sense for them all to be uniformly thick. So we won't stress too much about that. This is good. So looking okay. It needs the color work. Oh, and you know what? We actually put these beneath our primary cracks to give the cracks a bit of depth. That could be really, we could get really fancy with that. I'm gonna do it sparingly. I may just go back on that. I think we're gonna do it everywhere. We're gonna do it absolutely everywhere since it's looking good so far. And we were just talking about depth, and this is gonna be a lot of depth. This is gonna add a lot of depth, as you can see. Yeah, now we're talking in ice language. Now we're thinking with ice. What kind of reference am I trying to make? And then these little, like the cracks beneath the surface, will have their own little cracks. Looks good. It's looking... I think we're succeeding, is what I mean to say. It'll be interesting to disable these new layers at the end of the stream and see what kind of progress we've made. That there doesn't make too much sense. Let me catch up on chat, because I'm horribly behind. Hey Munchlax, regrets nothing, welcome to the stream. Yeah, you and I both are murdering our Australian internet. I paid the big bucks for this connection so that I could eventually start streaming. So far it's held itself together, but I have zero faith in Telstra. Telstra, the evil Telstra. There's always... let me not brag on Telstra. They're doing a good job so far here. But my last home, man, the Telstra connection, oof. If my brother was playing Overwatch, I couldn't stream a YouTube video without pushing him up to 200 ping. So it was really rather rough. So to any Americans watching, yeah, it's basically like Mad Max out here when it comes to internet. The world's on its last legs. It really is as bad as they say. All of these lines, I think I may regret drawing any of these lines in on our line layer. I think they should maybe just be white tracks. It's the black lines just tend to, or the effect they're having, excuse me, a truck's driving past. They're just kind of confusing things right now. They're distinctly the wrong color. So we may just erase them completely. Arigato. I think we're doing well for line width variation. Right here it's a bit too crowded. Let's get some shapes in here rather than just a mess of lines. So we're up to our lucky number 7 viewers. It's my average, but it's pretty good considering we didn't send out a Twitter invite or a Facebook invite for this stream, so looks like we're growing. Thanks, guys. And the other thing I did differently was I followed some advice I received yesterday, and I put this stream in the art category rather than the D&D category. So maybe there's a bunch of new folk here. Maybe even folk who don't play RPGs at all. Okay. Excuse me. So, this is what I mean. If we disable the lines, I think that looks perhaps better than with these black lines. We'll give that some thought. Yeah, Munchlax, I feel you. It's a little embarrassing sharing your art process, especially when certain parts of it are not optimal at all. But so far, I've got a lot of good advice, and I'm better at Photoshop now than when I started. So before we move on to the texture, I'm going to try and do something more intelligent with this color, the color of the lake ice cracks. So looking at my reference images, the kind of subsurface cracks, these ones, are rather a bright, like a saturated color, like a not a white color. So let's I'm going to borrow this color for now. I think we're going to use that color but reduce the opacity. Otherwise we'll get odd things showing up down here. So they're rather saturated, so they're not white. They're going to be a blue. Maybe even less than that. And then these ones are very nearly white. But the white for us is just a bit too much contrast. So I'm gonna also bring that down. I do really like these subsurface cracks around here. That they, especially considering the purpose of this map is to be played upon. We don't want to confuse from the grid. That's why I'm kind of reducing the opacity here. Okay, I think we're pretty happy with that. We'll fiddle with it some more later. Now I have changed my mind on having cracks down in the depths of the chasm. So I'm going to remove those. Like that. I think we need to push like a bluer blue down there, not so much a green blue. We'll see. Which one was the chasm layer? I should really go about naming these. A blue like that. Really, we need a blue like this blue. So what's our opacity on that? We are indeed in the final stretch, which is where I get to fuss over colors. So this isn't a distraction at this point. If I start doing this earlier in the coloring process, then it's a distraction and it's a bad thing. But right now we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. I think we need to, yeah, that's going to add a lot if we intelligently add a glow to the top. Just not go overboard. Like this area is in sun, so that should have a good glow to it. Really, it shouldn't be too dark down here. Okay, what I want to do, isolate this area. Blow in there. And voila. Nice. Okay, so we're just pushing a transparency of the ice sheet higher and higher. That's our goal. And we've done that by letting kind of the light pass through it. That's why we've used gradients down here to replicate the light passing through it. And we've put 2 layers of icy cracks in order to, yeah, achieve what we're looking for. Okay, we're going to come back to you. Actually, no, we're going to jump straight into... I'm going to make a copy of this because I'm not sure I'm going to nail it the first time. That looks kind of cool with the really high opacity, doesn't it? Just reduce the saturation a bit. Ooh. Ooh, looks more ominous, that's for sure. Let's keep it. So what I want to do here, now I do like the way the gradient works, so we're just going to add a touch of texture, but not go wild. I want a really big brush. Really big brush. And this is basically if you all tuned in for the jungle temple battle map we drew early in the week, or was it last week, I'm not sure, when we did our foggy clouds of the waterfalls falling in. That's what we're doing here now. So we're just converting our very vanilla gradient into a super scratchy texture, basically. And I do like it so far. I think Wish Ghost has the right idea. But we are gonna grab our blur tool. Sorry, I always call it the blur tool. It's not a blur tool, it's a smudge tool. And we're gonna smudge it up. And then we're gonna do that again. You can see, luckily I made a copy of this layer, so we'll be able to toggle it later, and I'll be able to show you what we've achieved, and I'll be able to decide for myself if I prefer it. But I think I will. And now we just more sparingly add these in. We don't want the textures everywhere, but you can see, especially if I push this brush in a horizontal direction, we get a really nice kind of scratch texture, which kind of is the perfect brush for an icy surface. We just mix these in. Yeah, what I should really do is push these brushes all in one uniform direction. And that'll give us a nice look in the end, I think. A little easier said than done. So you can see just little areas of intrigue in the texture and little imperfections in the ice. Kind of, I guess, where the wind blows pebbles and hard stuff across the ice and leaves a groove. this really bright stuff we can push in here. Okay, yeah. So all of that lying awake in my bed last night thinking was not for nothing. It was to come up with this idea. Yeah, yeah. I'm a happy blundering artist, just trying out ideas until something works. But work it has. I like it. I said yesterday on stream I don't mind too much complimenting myself when I do something that looks nice, because most of the time it's by accident. So it feels like I'm just complimenting my disembodied hand rather than, you know, showering myself in compliments. So I mean, okay, so we can kind of compare the two sides here. So in the thumbnail view we can hardly see them, which I think is good because it means we've maintained our gradient. But when we actually look at the map, we can see them just the right amount that we want to see them. You printed 13 of the maps. That's more than I've ever printed in my life. Thanks, Okami Goddess. May I ask, did you use like a home/office printer, or did you go to Staples or somewhere? Let's get to work on this side too. Home printer. So did you go with the 4 sheets to 1 map method? Trying to maintain our direction of motion here, but like I said before, it's easier said than done. I quite like. I wonder if we can mix in just a tad of a highlight over here. Trimmed each print, laminated them, and taped them together. Marked up the back the position. Smart, yeah. And vinyl? Golly, I'd love to see photos of these prints because I don't see many like high effort print photos. I do actually. I got a really cool tag on Instagram where someone built a 3D cardboard exterior for the Galleon map, so that like the deck was propped up maybe 2 inches from the table, and it had like the little gun ports and everything on the side, different layers for the different decks. It was super cool. But I hate to say it, but I'm actually a very lazy. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't use the word lazy, but I don't usually make a lot of props for my players. I think because I kind of dedicate all of my map making energy to 2-minute tabletop, and sometimes those two things overlap. And I'll make a map that I want to use in my game that I'll also release on 2-minute tabletop. But usually my players are off on an adventure completely incompatible with what I'm drawing. So in my history of drawing maps for 2-minute tabletop, I've only ever used one in a game with my players. That's how bad it is. Thanks, Munchlax. I'm looking forward to that. And yes, Stargamer, my brother and I go back and forth. We take turns DMing for different campaigns, not the same campaign. So this Monday coming, if all goes to plan, he's going to run his game. And then the week after that, I'll run my game. And then we usually take a break week in the middle. And then we repeat that process. So back and forth like that. But I think this lake surface is done. I kind of have a question of whether it looks better without this. It kind of just looks like water if I disable the cracks. So let's keep our cracks. Yeah. I just need to get this to be a little bit more white. Maybe I need like a hard light layer instead, because they're a little bit dim down here and a little bit too high contrast up here. So maybe one of these light color styles, layer styles. Yeah, I think that's an improvement. But what I can do, I can show you guys. So that's what we started with, and this is what we have now. So I'm going to call that a success. And we can still keep that if we want to push it into like a darker color. So I'll hang on to that layer. Nice, nice. Now we have to do the whole thing again for the ice fortress. Yes, Stargamer. If I were perhaps smarter, if I were better at like planning, I guess I would have done that. It seems like a good idea. But it's not how it's worked out. And then again, the campaign is going into winter now, so maybe I'll get some use out of this map. It's funny, my next map will be like a volcanic fire themed temple, and my players literally just got done with a fire temple. So that's a good example of my bad timing or my bad planning. Okay, fiddling with ice a bit. We're gonna come up and into this now. And I still regret putting these colors and these colors on separate groups. So now I have to kind of battle them into matching each other. I wonder how this would look as a more regular blue. Quite like that silvery lake look. We've been going for like a glacial blue up until now, because I like the way this blue plays with this rocky red, so I think we'll stick with it. Yeah, I think Fire Temple is probably one of those subjects that has a lot of material already. And that looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Maybe I'll make a mundane version as well as a glacial version. We'll see. But for now, I'm getting distracted, playing around with my layers too much. Let's do that trick with our brush over here on our ice platform layer. So I have like the major shadow right here. Kind of unfortunate that I've used the major shadow layer as the mountain shadow, like the major shadow and my kind of through light shadow. And then I have a separate highlight over the top. There's a vivid light. Yeah, interesting. So my layer style for this icy surface is completely different to this one, so we're gonna have to wrestle with it a bit. But let's dive in and add our texture in the meantime. Still want that diagonal motion. Okay, yeah. Already I see that it's going to be a big improvement. Just being very, very mindful of the like overall contrast. I don't want these texture bits and pieces to get too distracting. Okay. The wooden bridge on the right. You mean this bit? Yeah, that makes sense. So this is actually like a granite staircase carved into the mountain. So we're gonna have to add some more lighting on there for it to make sense. So this jetty here will be horizontal, but this will be a staircase climbing up the side of the mountain, mirroring this side here, which we've done a better job here of communicating staircase with this bit. So it's just going to be a matter of putting a little bit of ambient light on the top stairs, I think. Let's see. So basically there's three pathways. We have the lowest point on the map will be the lake bed. Then we have two stairways here leading up, maybe like 60 feet high, to this snowflake platform, which is really high up. And then we have this mountain path that is on the same level as the snowflake platform, going off this way. This is a huge layer. I wonder if we could kind of sneak. Definitely need some texture on these big horizontal walls. I'm on the wrong layer. Well, you know what? Interesting. I'm glad you like it, 8-bit noise. Yeah, it's the power of a good night's sleep and coming back with a like a refreshed perspective, I guess. I know I'm reaching. I know when you're in completion, when I'm just toggling layers, deciding if I prefer it on or off, and just endlessly fiddling with colors. This needs to be a hard light, I think. Killer plants, that's a fun one. I like using plants like that as like a trap check that you disarm with nature instead of sleight of hand. The nature check. Okay, down here. I've really made things more difficult for myself by how I've organized the layers on this platform. They're rather everywhere. Definitely need a highlight or something on this, the G-shaped platform, the G rune, I'll call it. Because it doesn't really look like ice right now. Maybe this layer is a bit superfluous, or we need to play with the layer style and the colors. But it kind of looks like an icing or something, like a non-ice surface. But we can remedy that with kind of marrying these two highlights together. Thanks for stopping by, Stargamer. Have a good one. Thanks, Munchlax. The secret is to be no good at any other style and just kind of develop your own through trial and error. I'd really recommend it. But I've been drawing these maps for 4 years or maybe even 5 years now. So it's just been a slowly evolving process. And I do try and share the tips and tricks and kind of the little shortcuts that I've learned on my YouTube channel. You know what we've forgotten to do on this layer is utilize the smudge tool. So what I can do is just use the smudge tool to kind of blur portions of our texture away, but just not the whole thing at this point. But just try and get that 50-50 mix between scratch texture and cloud texture. Thanks, Mithrils. I'm glad you think so. When I was a kid, I was just enchanted by Zelda, and especially the Minish Cap and the Wind Waker. And I guess Breath of the Wild also has a similar kind of art style. So much of my stuff kind of mimics that kind of look. I really like these bands we have right here. If I could replicate that, then we'll do well. Yeah, like that. Just with that swipe of the brush, we can turn this in from a strange icing texture into a actual ice. to get the right amount. And then theoretically we can just blur part of that and call it a day. Indie Zelda one shot. That sounds awesome. I'd love to know what the quest for that one shot was. Saving the princess, perhaps? I think it's scratching here, but we're going to blur most of it. I don't like it. Okay, we're pretty good. I'm not sure yet if I want these lake ice cracks in this structure, and I think I don't, because this in my mind is a magically formed structure and it's pristine in every way, so we're gonna keep the pristine look. This needs something. Maybe we can try a darker color. It's just not right the way it is. Oh, yeah. That sounds epic. It's quite an undertaking to create a dungeon to rival the likes of Zelda. They're usually really slick. That's one thing we did on the stream a week or two ago, was we adapted a dungeon element from the Minish Cap into an encounter for my players. And it worked well. But usually all I can pull off is one element of their dungeon and the rest is far too complex. So this shadow, is this what we want to edit next? I think so. Well, thanks, Mithrils. I'm glad it worked out. That sounds like an epic dungeon. Right, Okami Goddess. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of why there would be docks here if this would melt. Like, for a boat to be here, this would have to be water, which means this would probably turn to water too. So yeah, definitely we'll go with that. That'll be our canon from now on. What Okami Goddess said is these magical runes and possibly like a sacrifice here. Who knows? Is what keeps this from melting away. Yeah, I like that. And there's probably more icy, magically good stuff inside the dungeon. Okay, let's get into here. Now this is going to be much more finicky, because I can't just branch up here. What I should really do is make a selection of this. Okay, now we can play safely within this area. Okay, I like these textures we're getting. I don't want to... Kind of lost in concentration, excuse me. To get this angle very precise. I guess if we're doing the subsurface textures, then we want it all to be a uniform angle. So really, this should be like this. Yeah, that's gonna look better. Or this simple brush for a second. And a healthy amount of smudge as well. Keep neglecting the smudge. Yeah. Pretty good if we can achieve this look for all of them. Oh yeah, Mithrals, please go ahead. Patreon community section is the perfect place to share stuff you've made with my tiles. Please do. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun, Munchlax. Did you have like a Master Sword analog in it? That's pretty... I'm a big sucker for mythical swords. We're kind of going into flu season here where I live, so I'm hoping this sniffle I have isn't going to affect the stream long term. We shall see. Okay, I'm going to call this little leg done, and I can see already if we can pull this off for all of the legs, then mission accomplished. Yeah, we've got... keeping the direction of our strokes uniform gives it that transparent look. That was a good decision. I was just instinctually drawing in the direction of the surface, but for ice that's not necessarily what we want. So glad we had that epiphany. That's going to be interesting to play with. Over here, what we need is just a very... Basically, yeah, that's what we want, is this kind of stuff inside. Excuse me while I get this right. So basically, just a little bit in there. A little bit of blur. What I want to do is work on this bit and this bit separately rather than as one selection. So I'm in the process of transitioning. Okay, now we can... It's not going to work. Now we can work over here. Okay, it's just about lunchtime, so wonder if I should just push on until this is done or take a break. It's a rather cool shape. Just a little bit too big. Yeah, I guess you're right. Wood stairs and the wood rail from the dungeon kit. Ah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Just you probably adjusted the colors so that it fit better. Okay, nice, nice. This one's good. I feel like if we have a darker area here, then that will help with our semi-transparency. And I also want to push this highlight that. So can we get it? Is there a darker color somewhere I could steal? Down here? Yeah, that's darker. Have to isolate that. Okay. Yeah, much more transparent. In fact, I feel like this area should also be more darker. Though it is, we're getting that nice arch of the glow going through the structure, so I think we'll keep it that way for now. Maybe change our mind later. Okay, well, again, we're gonna have to work on these separately. Let's borrow a color from the last one we were drawing. We'll pretty much do the same thing. Dark down here and super light up there. It's pretty good. I like the simple shapes in there. Then make a selection of the other side. Oh, let's be careful not to go up into there too much. Dark. This is already maximum darkness, so we're just going to be lightening this one. We'll do the maximum up here. Oh, we don't want this bit. with maximum dark. I guess that's as dark as we go with this layer. So I need to push this down a bit lower. And then we'll be able to come back up dark. And a healthy amount of cloudy blur. Smudge. I mean to say smudge. I want to work on this gate just before I forget to. It doesn't need much. Like, I think that will cut it just about. Well, we'll use our blur here. Yeah. That gate's in like deep shadows, so we don't need too much up here. Just I keep saying that and then I get back into it. Just trying to find a color I like. Thanks, i3 refill. I think it's coming together well too. Yeah, we're still working on the details, and I still want some more transparency in this structure. Kind of looks like some kind of material that's not quite ice. But I'm gonna finish off this stuff, and then we'll puzzle over that question. I think we can edit all this at once. So we've got our maximum dark already in here. So basically I'm going to start with, we've got a lot of light too, so we've got like an inner glow over here. Yeah, that looks pretty good, just like that. I think we'll leave that, because this is in full shade. It's going to be rather low detail. We're not gonna fuss as much as we have over here. Yeah, quite like that. Cooking ambience. This playlist goes from everywhere from like epic space travel to cooking ambience like this. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant the music. Yeah, the cooking ambience. We're actually branching out here at 2-minute tabletop into 2-minute kitchen top recipes. So please do tune in on our secondary stream where we're cooking something in a frying pan. Oof, that was the wrong button. Don't press that button. Nice glow up here. That looks pretty cool. We've got like a multi-tiered. This is what I meant when I said we need to push the transparency a bit. Here we've got like a clear kind of multi-layered icy interior. I don't know, my explaining skills are going down the tube. I think they'll come back after lunch. I hope they will, because we've got a lot more drawing to go today. Okay, so just need to play a bit with the smudge. I said blur. Just introduce a few clouds to this texture. Now structure is looking pretty fine. It's just, I think this layer needs some more work, maybe, perhaps. Or I just need to that looks funky, doesn't it? Oh, we've suddenly cast it in a morning light. That's pretty fun, isn't it? It's a dramatic contrast. Sometimes, I don't know, I really like this color next to this color. A minute countertop. Yeah, it's an interesting look, isn't it? I might play with that a bit. But first, I was intending to add like a deep interior darkness to this structure. I'll keep you guys posted on what the lunch smell is like. Unclear so far as to what it is. We have something frying. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Just darken up where that's a step in the right direction. More transparent. And shift the hue as well. Maybe like a cloud area. No, I think our magical ice is pretty good as it is. So let's just find a color that we like. And also, I want to add a controlled amount of texture to these rocks. We're going to put, then again, they're kind of very nice where they are. Let's just get very, very sparingly add some texture to these rocks. Just simply with the shadow, because I really like this simple kind of light and dark, hard edge anime look. Is anime look, is that accurate at all? But yeah, like we're just adding a few little areas of texture here. Just muddying the lines a bit. I think that's pretty much all we want for the rocks. In fact, that's a little bit too much. Let's undo that one. And add one perhaps up here. Yeah, my little workstation is directly adjacent to the living room and the kitchen. So you get all sorts of fun little kind of side projects happening in the background. Little Easter eggs you can pick up. I wonder if we could just sneak a little glow on this stairway. Or if what we want, it's kind of like a shortcut, is a gradient going down here, and that kind of gives us a shorthand for elevation, a upward moving staircase. All we need to do now is rough up the edge of the shadow. Excuse me. We need like this kind of effect. I'm actually no good at horizontal lines. I think it's my setup with my desk and where my elbow touches my rib cage. It just makes horizontal lines quite a chore. Everything's real bathed in shadow over here. I like that cold light. We just needed something to help communicate staircase. I noticed we've been getting some followers. Thanks everyone. Let's see. Shout out to Rax and Iphigenia. Oh, those were yesterday. Thanks to Swanky Fish, Flap Freak, and Mithrils for the follows today. Oof. That follower goal I've got down there in the bottom left. Absolutely arbitrarily chosen, but yeah, it's a nice fun little goal. I'm gonna take a 10-minute break, a 5 to 10-minute break, everyone, to eat some lunch. It looks like bacon and eggs and toast. So I'm just going to let the music play, and I'll leave this here. And if anybody shows up in chat, please let them know I'll be right back. I don't have a be right back screen yet, unfortunately. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Chotto matte.
Very much alike.
Hello, I'm back from lunchtime. Let's get rid of this. And let's put my phone on charge so I'm well fed and ready to get back into it. So, no breaks allowed from now until the Volcano Temple is drafted. Oh, last sip of coffee too. Bye bye. Where's my stylus? Here it is. And so now's a good opportunity after a break to see what stands out as bad. And I kind of want some more contrast in here. And I kind of want some more contrast up here. And we were working on the rocks before I left, but the rocks are pretty good as they are. I really like this very simple shadow style. Literally just blocks of shadow with little interruptions for our scratchy brush. Just very sparingly used. And we've kind of got that whole style running across the map. With exception for the ice, because there's multiple layers. You know, it's a transparent object, so it's got much more detail to it. So, we've still got 8 viewers. Thanks everyone for sticking around. Or perhaps you're just now joining us, in which case, welcome. Okay, so I like this subtle effect we have on the stairs. That does a decent job at suggesting the direction. I think we just need a couple of little tweaks here and there, especially with the colors. We're going to tweak the colors a lot. So like I want a smaller brush. So I got 2 white brushes here. I just need a shadow here to suggest the separation of wall and floor. So everything's fine, right? Oh, you can see my little pot plants back there. Don't look at those, they're rather sickly right now. Okay, so I think we are ready for some color tweaking, which means bear with me as I prepare my primary monitor to receive the Photoshop window. Okay, let's also hit the save button. Then, as is tradition, not tradition, but it's always a good idea, we're going to duplicate this whole thing before we start changing the colors around so that we can compare with what we started with and make sure we're heading in the right direction. I'll move that up here. I'm just swapping my monitors around, so I have to move all the Twitch stuff down and all the Photoshop stuff up. Okay. So, secondary monitor is good to go. Okay. Keep saying okay. I wonder if this idea would just be a little bit filthy, but I want like excuse me, the webcam's right in the way of my color panel. Is that okay where we are now? Oh, excuse me. Okay, that'll do. It's good enough. So, Yeah, did I say it out loud? I want to try a lens flare. Big. And the reason being, it's not really a lens flare. What it is particles in the air capturing the light. And it's just going to be a subtle, not like this, but it's going to be much more subtle than that. Subtle gradient that will kind of come across this side of the map. Why is my gradient being bound to the canvas? Can you see what's going on there? It's really odd. What did I press in order to make it that way? Maybe more like this. Just to give like a frigid chill to the air. I quite like it. And then it also makes our shadows on this side look extra dark, extra spooky. Now actually, what I wanted to do, so this will be our new control, so we don't need that. We'll save this one in its place. And now we're going to start playing with colors. And the first thing I wanted to do was go with that dawn color scheme. Yeah, like plants definitely need some druidcraft, or at least some research into how to better take care of them. Some survival skill would be good. I'm certainly not proficient. So we're going to duplicate this fella. I'm now looking down here to see Twitch chat. That's why I'm looking straight down. Oh, I'm so full. Okay, so we wanted to play around with that dawn color scheme we stumbled upon earlier. We're going to push these. It's going to be raw. It's going to take some real fiddling because like this is like a deep sunset. I guess if it, well, let's start where we had our happy accident. It was over here. I believe we added a layer here, and that's what, no, it was this one. Yeah, look at that. That's rather funky. Kind of adore it. Like, look at all these colors we have now. Pink, yellow, green, blue. Ooh, just with like a peachy highlight. Interesting. It kind of detracts from the transparency. But I think we can repair that if we're clever about our shadows. Like, if it's dawn and we're playing with peach colors, then this is probably going to be closer to purple. I guess I didn't change that at all. But this would be closer. Let's just follow this train of thought, and then we'll compare with our control and see if we prefer it or not. I'm gonna have to make the final call, but we'll see. So boy, you can get really quite magical with this. I wonder if anyone you can hear that bird outside. So let me know if you can. Just so I can figure out how much you people can actually hear. Yeah, welcome back, Munchlax. We've taken a duplicate of, this is kind of our control canvas, and we've duplicated it, and we're seeing if we can get a dawn look to work. And I quite like all the colors that are in here, but also it's also not, I don't know, we'll have to change the whole thing and then we'll decide. So this is going to be the tricky bit. I feel like it'll just be like over here. Was it pink? Or probably still be a blue color dawn. Like over here perhaps? Yeah, crow, so you can hear just about everything. Cool, good to know. Which means you may even be able to hear the conversation on the street, if you're lucky enough. Just gonna try a few things. I guess what really might happen is this color here would push right into the pink. Okay, hold on, this one. But let's change it to just a normal layer. Check this effect out. I really like the depth effect we have going on here. Like that, we might at least keep that. That's really mick. Push this a bit closer to blue. Yeah, I'm really getting somewhere with this. Not sure if so much pink on this area makes any sense. If we're just have a little bit over here, we'll have to dial that back. Like to here maybe. Just want to sneak that hue in sparingly. Okay, good to know, thanks. I want to keep these rather dark. Somewhere in between colors. Because if they're bathed in a dawn light, like catching the sun full on like a clear dawn, is what I'm imagining, then they'll be rather more red, perhaps. And here, what have we got here? This will be our shadows within shadows. And our our excuse me, our big shadow. Oh yeah, we were going to use this too. This will be very important, I think. Yeah, indeed it was. This just gets more and more magical by the moment, doesn't it? Shimmy that up and down a bit and see what we like best. The peachy color. Something, I guess this blue here is just I need to match this blue better. It's a bit lighter. Then our actual snow would be a little pinker too. Little Russ. Here, I think. Well, that's pure white. So we're going with pure white. The shadows. A bit of a lilac. These general shadows might need something. Keep them quite dark, but like just so we get large color range across the canvas. Rather dark like that. Wood color is fine. This crevasse is just a bit too dark to make sense. So we have a general, somewhere hidden in these nameless layers, we have a general crevasse mask. Crevasse? Which is it? This is Fortress. I'm lost on the canvas, everyone. Okay, pretty epic, but also a bit too much. There it is, found it, we've got it. Maybe this would be pushing a highlight. Like, it's like capturing all that dawn light in there. I'm thinking we highlight on this layer, then with our shadow layer here, we can actually put some shadow over it. It'll probably be darker. think it's pretty. Yeah, I think it's pretty too. I think maybe we'll have like a mundane version and an extra pretty version. Like I like this just for its wintry atmosphere. It's blue and it's got this icy haze. This has its own funkiness. I think this will be a good Patreon variant. I think that's what we're working on now as a Patreon variant. We'll call it the Dawn variant. Yes. Very vanilla. Okay, well, this crevasse is still bugging me. Okay, I know what needs to be done here. Is this just looks too like matte, too opaque, so we need a gradient in here. Like so. But I really like this ice cube look we have with this shard right here. That really captures the icy essence. Basically, we need just a whole lot less red in here. That'll about do it. I mean, I guess we don't need any, do we? Let's just keep a little tint, maybe. In fact, if it's down there, this is a perfect place for our deep glacial depths kind of color, which will be somewhere in this sort of zone. I want to push that wood color, the wood that's in the light, towards pink. Still kind of this the icy platform just looks odd right now. Something I have to explore here a bit more. I think I like that it's kind of divided down the middle between blue and pink. That might come into the puzzle you present to your players regarding the runes. That said, it's still kind of odd. I had a layer somewhere. There's like an inner darkness layer. Where did I put that? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It doesn't look nearly transparent enough, very opaque. Perhaps it's the way this shadow's falling on it. We need some, just need a little bit of obfuscation, I guess. I guess it's because this light, if it were to fall on it, it looks like it's kind of scattered across the surface rather than blowing through it. Let's just try blue light, a dawn light here. Just the whole thing's pink. I have my finger on the Control Z key, don't worry. We're just trying this out. Bless you. Oh, bless you. Oh, I keep looking around for where my coffee cup went, but it's all finished. Just water from here on. And you know, it's not too late to turn this from an ice fortress into a crystal fortress, or even a stone fortress. Since we've got so much icy goodness down here already, I wonder, let's just make duplicate number 3, and with this duplicate we'll see what a stone fortress would look like. So we're just gonna be very quick. In approximating our stone. Something. Thanks, Mithrils. Yeah, I think the cracks, especially now that we put this glow gathered beneath them, really does help. With the icy surface. Yeah, and it could be the key to making this icy too. Extra icy. Back of my mind, I'm also thinking about all the volcano temple planning and other work that needs to be done today. So this we might have to put a pin in this Dawn Fortress variant. But it just feels like it's so close. Where's our highlight here? Yeah, let's push this into more of a sunny yellow, and then in here we'll have the deeper pink like we have down there. I think we're getting close. And then in the shadow, that's when we bring out the blue ice. Just want this blue and this blue to kind of marry up. So that's an odd color. You know what I should just do is go steal this blue. I'll even use this color picker, and we'll start from there. Very precisely, not purple and not green blue. There's a little area in between. Mithrils. I do fuss over color a lot, as you can see firsthand right now, and good to know that it pays off. How about this shadow on the snow? Oh, that's our general shadow. Okay, that's going to stay that color. This perhaps would be closer to purple. Not in that way. This is where our dawn glow exists. I just use like a vivid light here. Looking for now, since this is sheen, we're getting back to our our sheen that we were talking so much about with the token layer. I guess it should be like a wet blue sheen. Now we had like a hard light. That's what this is here. Okay. We can get a halfway color between blue and dawn pink. Might just be a bit too muddy if we do. You know what? I have an idea. Let's take this into kind of dull ice territory. Then with this color we can get an inner glow of dawn pink. think we're just about figuring this out. And now we're getting some transparency back. Yeah, I think we've figured it out, everyone. So we've got an icy highlight, and then we've got the dawn sunlight manifesting like in a glow. So it's very different from what we started out with, but it kind of works, doesn't it? I wonder even if we should have the same effect over here. Speaking of, I wonder if we should try something else down here. Like a deep look. What do we prefer, this or this? I quite prefer the second one. Yeah, definitely has a lot more depth to it. I need these two colors to be more similar. What am I editing here? Oh. Okay, so we've got like a brother and a sister of a battle map. This one will be our Patreon exclusive. This one will be our general purpose icy atmosphere one. I do want to save them both. That would be a good idea. Ice Temple Dawn. And of course, we're not done fussing over it yet. I want to flip it back and forth a bit, make sure everything looks right. Like this is rather high contrast, where this is rather low contrast, so I think we need to push these shadows. I wonder if we can just kind of utilize this a bit. There's our general shadows up here. These need to be like over here now, since we've increased all of our other we've pushed our other shadows darker. We need to have it all very nicely together. Maybe that snow would be a bit brighter too. Okay. You know what's odd? I noticed this last night after stream, but if I flip this 180 degrees, it feels like you're hanging upside down, which actually makes my head spin a little bit. Oh, excuse me. Okay, and then of course the last step is just playing around with brightness and contrast a bit, and also seeing if we want a different line color, because right now we've still got pure black, but I'm thinking like a dark blue would be more appropriate. Up here. So now we've lost all detail in here, so we need to be mindful of the whole canvas. Just something a little bit muted, a little bit more muted than pure black. And this one would have, we can get away with pure black here, or we could try like a deep blue purple. Just so we can even sneak some saturation into the lines. Okay, feeling good about these both. I still wonder, like here we changed this highlight to be a low light, so let's try it in our platform too, since it worked so well for the Dawn Temple. That sounds like a real thing. Since it worked so well for the Dawn variant of our platform. Here, no, that's not it. It was in here, wasn't it? So it was our general color. Plunging that deeper into the blue. And then bringing out the highlight more. So we're not done fiddling yet. And then this general highlight will carry most of the work of making it look like ice. And then the contrast between those two colors will hopefully do the trick. So this highlight should mirror this kind of highlight down here. Bit greener. No, that's a vivid light, that's why it's not changing how I expected it to. Rather saturated greenish ice color. And then this can be an even brighter variation of that color. And we want it to be a little friendlier than that. This just needs to be more of a dominant color, and then we can, so that we get more of a hue shift in our ice. Now we're shifting from a cyan through like a dull green ice to a deep shadow. There's even further. Okay, it's looking like an ice. It looks like a frosted ice with a deepness to it, which is good. Which is good. I like it. You can see how transparent we can make it if we just reveal that rocky color within, and it looks like glass. We can kind of play with that with this color. I think if we do push it closer towards that rock color, it's an interesting effect, because this will be green-blue because it's basically nothing but water, ice down there. But somewhere behind this sculpture there's the rock face. And it's magical ice, which means it's probably very pure. That's, I mean, I'm not an expert on how magic works in real life. That makes sense to me. Yeah, we'll go with the frosted ice look. That looks nice, because if we zoom in, this is another thing I consider, is if we zoom in down to kind of grid size, and we kind of pretend we're walking around the battle map as a place, and we cast our eyes on this surface. Does this surface make sense? It does to me. Looks like frosted ice. And this snow makes sense, the shadows in there. It's perhaps a bit blue, but that's because of the atmospheric haze. On this side, we've got very different colors. It's cast in shadow, but all of the colors still make sense. And then from afar, is there too much of a clash? No. So I'm pretty happy with this. The last step is I like to play around just a bit with the exposure tool. Play around with the gamma, things like that. See how we can push these colors. Look how bright this lake is now. And this helps combat my tendency towards dull, dark colors, because I can just lift them up with this tool. Like, that's a marked improvement in my eye. It does throw out the snow shadow a bit, but we can fix that down here. I think maybe this haze is a bit too strong. Right around there. And then this interior color, still not entirely satisfied. Did we just let like the rock color show through? It's rather interesting to me, I think. Trying to give this ice a... should we lift it or leave it that way? No, think like this. These cracks perhaps need to be a little closer to white. Okay. Okay, well, how about our Dawn Temple? It needs the same kind of treatment. It's like catching the first rays of sun, so it's going to be... I want to overexpose it a bit. Give it that airy-fairy look. Just a little bit more contrast. Even a bit less contrast. Pretty much had it before, but that little boost rather looks good to me. I figured having things on the lighter side is always a good idea because Photoshop is kind of a dark working environment. When you take these maps and put them on my white web page, it often looks very different. So we're going to lean towards the lighter coloration. That's good. I'm going to save both of these. Excuse me, Mr. Truck. And we're going to call the Ice Temple done. So, I suppose let's just dive straight into the next project because I'm going to package this up for Patreon later today. Off stream, since that's a very uninteresting process. But for now, bear with me while I create some new files. We're going to begin on the Volcano Temple kind of design draft. We'll call it Volcano Temple, but maybe it'll be something else. I want to have a nice fiery element to it. And I'm thinking, I gave it some thought earlier when I went to get some coffee this morning. And I'm thinking like a vague skull shape in a smooth stone surface. So it kind of looks like some being living beneath the surface is pressing its face out of the stone. And it's got a mouth that's open and within the mouth there's like a lava pit. It's kind of the little central focus I want to start with, and we'll see what we come up with from there. But we're putting a big check mark on our Ice Temple. Ice Temple finished. I'll probably make some more tweaks later on when I look at it for the first time in a while. But yeah, sayonara to our Ice Temple. We had a good time, didn't we? It was a nice little learning experience doing the kind of subsurface ice depths and the cracks and the textures together. Did a lot of good. I'd love to look at the temple. Darn, I wish I'd made a copy of what we began with earlier today, but unfortunately I don't have that. So, Volcano Temple. All of our temples so far have this vertical orientation to the map, so we're going to keep that. That said, this will probably be packaged like this. It's really interesting looking at these maps from different orientations. In many ways it's like looking at them for the first time. I can kind of see them from the point of view that another person just finding them would see them.